It was so interesting to begin to read and read into this precept. Multiple centuries old philosophy. Not holding on to possessions you don't need. This is so relevant to our day. It is exactly the way people are thinking today. There is a movement in our modern time to not collect things for the sake of things. It's an idea of minimalism. Minimalism does not mean that you simply don't own things. It means you don't own things just for the sake of owning them. You still own what you need. And we'll talk more about this in this video. But I just thought when I was reading about this, and this is something that I've been reading over for quite some time, these philosophies of Dokkodo are something that I've held close hold to me for years. So they matter a lot to me. But this movement towards minimalism in our world today, and then to see the exact translation, the exact same philosophy from centuries ago. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's get into this. A movement that is very common today is minimalism. Minimalism does not necessarily mean you simply sell everything you own. It also does not mean that you own as few of things as possible. Minimalism means whatever it works for you. In other words, let's say you're an auto mechanic. If you're an auto mechanic, you may need a garage full of tools to do your job. You may need a variety of hundreds of different tools in order to do your job. Do you need them every day? No. But if you are tasked in doing a particular job on a vehicle, you may need those tools. That still falls within the idea of minimalism, because you own what you need. It's not like you just own things for the sake of owning them and buying things and spending money and going deeper in debt. That is the philosophy of minimalism. What works for you in your life? And to read a philosophy that is 500 years old and to see the exact same idea written again. Getting rid of possessions you don't need. This is something that I follow in my own life. It has completely changed my life. And I believe that young people today, especially, are embracing this new lifestyle. How can I call it a new lifestyle when it is really a philosophy that is so old? But it is a new lifestyle in modern times. There is a choice that people are making to live in a smaller dwelling. It is called tiny home lifestyle. Tiny home lifestyle does not mean that you are sacrificing the things that you want within your home. You still have them. You still have the features in your home that you want to have. However, you have it in a smaller format. That smaller format is easier to maintain. It costs less upfront, and it costs less to maintain over time. You don't have wasted space, and you don't have unused space. But what you do use, you still have. And again, it's moldable to your lifestyle, to what you want. Tiny homes, they absolutely fascinate me. Many are constructed very strong, In fact, they're constructed with the same plumbing, electrical, insulation, roofing, windows, doors that you would find in any traditional home. But it's in a smaller format. Often it's in a format that is also transportable, which means that if you stop living in one place, you are actually able to take your home, move it to a new place, and set it down and start living there. I think this philosophy, which is becoming more prevalent today, especially with the cost of housing, I think it is older than we realize. This precept of Musashi, I believe, spoke to the same ideas of minimalism and living in not necessarily a more frugal way, but in a way without waste, a way that was more practical to your lifestyle. I think at some time I may own a piece of land and put a small home on it, like a tiny home, an A-frame style tiny home. I've looked into many ideas. I don't know yet. I still don't know. But I just find it fascinating and interesting. And it may match my lifestyle in the future better than living in a large traditional home that has to be upkept, a large piece of land that has to be maintained and paid for. And so this precept speaks to me in many ways. I think it speaks to this entire generation today, but it speaks to me in general as well. There is another movement which is afoot today. This movement is becoming far more popular every year, and it is the movement of van life. Let's talk about this. This idea of living in a mobile vehicle. Today, we call this vehicle a car. We call it a van. But let's give it a different name. Let's call it a mobile dwelling. Let's think about that. It is a tiny home that we can actually turn over the engine and we can move to another location. What if our job location changes? What if the next opportunity is in a different state? What if we are working a seasonal job and we enjoy working winters in one place and we enjoy working summers in another place? The ability to take a mobile dwelling with us makes a lot of sense. It's not only just cost effective, but we're actually, in a practical sense, taking our own home with us. And this is the reason why I think van life is becoming more popular. It doesn't necessarily mean that people don't want to own things. It may be aligned to that, owning less, de-stressing your life. I get that. But I think it actually lines up more with the way jobs are today. Jobs are mobile. You're working in one city today, your job might move you to another city tomorrow. If you're doing seasonal work, you're changing locations constantly. And they have this thing now called the gig economy. What does the gig economy mean? The gig economy means you are doing basically a gig, a job in one location. You have the skills to do that job. You're hired to do that job, and then that job ends. What if it's 6 months? What if it's a year and a half? Having a mobile dwelling makes a lot of sense, and I think we're seeing it more often. I will always believe that in the right location, an investment in real estate can be very valuable. What I'm seeing is a practical understanding and a rethinking of where we live. Young people are starting to live in a mobile dwelling. This is van life, and this falls directly in line with what Musashi was talking about hundreds of years ago. We get caught up in a belief that we need the newest. We need the latest model. We need the newest edition. And I think that it ends up putting us in debt and filling our life with stress. We're constantly looking at others. We're looking at others on social media. We're looking at others in real life. And we're comparing our lives to them and making a determination as to whether or not we are succeeding based upon whether we have assets that match or exceed others. The reality is that we don't have to have the latest or the newest of things. We can get by with things that are used, things that are still a couple of years old, and we can invest the money that we save by not trying to keep up with others. We invest that money in order to build another income that we're not working for, an income that makes us money while we sleep. This contrast of constantly having to buy new, constantly having to eat out instead of cooking our own meals. The idea of rewarding yourself with things instead of living your life this way, of trying to always outdo or even match others, which you will never do, and you will place yourself in deep debt for life. You will be a wage slave trying to pay off your debts for life, trying to live that lifestyle. I now live my life in this way. When I see those around me that achieve the next financial level in their life, they start buying things that are, beautiful cars, beautiful homes. They start to even afford themselves gifts to say a job well done, something beautiful and fancy to wear. I'm happy for them. I don't look at it as like, I wish I had that or I wish I could keep up with that. Not at all. I would not change my life with anyone I can think of today, in any capacity, including the wealthiest people on earth. That says something. That says something indeed. When I see others that succeed around me, people that are close to me, it could be someone I don't know, that's fine as well. But specifically with people that are close to me in my life, I'm happy for them. And I praise them. A job well done. Outstanding. You deserve it. You earned it. That change in philosophy has changed my life. Preparing for early retirement. I call it early retirement because at the time of this video, the United States looks at retirement around 62 years old when you can start collecting Social Security. So using that as a baseline, if I'm retiring 10 years earlier, I am living at a point of early retirement. But for myself, I know that I have actually been working since I was in the 5th grade. I've had jobs since I was in the 5th grade. So it doesn't seem like early retirement to me. But moving into this next phase in life, I sold assets that did not make me an income. If assets did not make me an income, I sold them. That was a radical move to many people. But at the same time, a lot of people that were friends and family to me were like, that makes sense. It's just the times we live in. And they thought, if it's not making you an income, Why are you holding on to it? You're getting ready to retire early. You don't need things for the sake of owning things. That has been a major change in my life for the better. What has that brought me? Not only has that consolidation of your wealth into income producing assets, that has not only produced a passive income, but it has brought about freedom. Let's discuss freedom. Let's summarize this video with the idea of what is freedom. I believe that this precept directly spoke to this idea of freedom, of de-stressing your life, removing the clutter from your life, removing the debts from your life, removing things from your life, and replacing them with what matters most to you to not only enrich your life but make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. When you are the master of your own time, you have achieved freedom. When you no longer need to spend your time for others, which I have done for decades. Understand, I have done this for decades in my life. I have spent my time in order to fulfill goals for others. I was fulfilling my own goals as well, but my time was dictated by others. As I move into a new time in life where I am in control of my own time, in my opinion, this is the definition of freedom. I thank you for spending some time with me today. I'm curious what your definition of freedom is. I'm also curious what your thoughts on minimalism is. So please comment and let us know what your thoughts are on these ideas. We now have discussed how long these ideas have been around. Quite some time. And we will continue on every Saturday with this series. I hope that you're enjoying yourself, and I hope that you get something from these videos. I will bring you another precept again next Saturday, and we'll talk more about it. Until then, have a wonderful week, and aloha.